I met Mr. Ronquillo back in '95. Coach Ernie Rodriguez introduced us. He had just stepped down from the baseball job. I was at Southgate High School at the time, and I was also coaching at Cathedral. So I got to drive on my way from Southgate to Cathedral. I stopped by at Roosevelt, and I met with Mr. Ronquillo quite a few times, probably about 8 to 10 times in about a 3-week period. He was trying to sell the job on me. And, I graduated from Southgate. We were successful. I was having fun there. It was kind of hard to leave Southgate. And then he asked me, well, what do you need? How can I get you? And I said, well, we don't have nothing here. We don't have a batting cage. Can you give me a batting cage? He goes, oh, gosh, I don't know like that. He goes, please don't base your decision on that, but I'll do everything I can. So I thought that was pretty special and that he was into the kids, and so I accepted the job. I went back to Southgate and I told my colleagues there, hey, I'm leaving. I'm going to go to Roosevelt. He said, you're crazy. You can't go to all the cholos. You're a Southgate guy. And so they hired me for a week, and I changed my mind. And that was a hard phone call to make to tell him, I'm sorry, I'm changing my mind. I'm going to stay at Southgate. And he was, oh man, he was real disappointed. But I continued to coach football at Cathedral, and so for the next 4 years, I popped in there a lot because he was a nice guy. He was fun to talk to, and 4 years later, in 1999, he offered me the job again, and I took it. So then he became a mentor to me. I learned so much from him. Everything I am now as a professional, as a family man. And going in there, like Jose, it was a little uncomfortable. There was some tension in the department. But he kept telling me, just be yourself, you'll be fine. Be yourself. And a couple weeks later, he called me in. He says, how are things going? And I told him, oh man, it's good, but the kids are tough here, man. There's a lot of gangsters here, and they're rough, and every other word's a cuss word. And then he said something like funny to me. I'll never forget. He just talked with his hands, and he grabbed his tie. He goes, hey. He goes, whenever you tell him to do something, just say wait at the end of it. He said, Jose, line up and sit down, wait. Home run, wait. And then I looked at funny, and he goes, it's good, the kids will laugh and they'll listen to you. And it worked. He also told me, a lot of times he says, coaching and teaching are the same. He says, you're a good coach because you can teach. And these are the things I held on and I learned from him. He says, when kids know you generally care about them, you have them. You're going to get them to overachieve. They'll be winners in life, and they'll always remember you. It's true. One of the things, if you work there, he told me about a month in, he called me and he said, hey man, I have to tell you, he goes, whatever you do, don't miss open house. You need to show up to open house with the parents, and the kids need you to be there. And then I was like laughing, no, really, I'm serious. He goes, you cannot miss open house. And the next season, I think it was the 2001 season, we were playing 9 games, and we had to schedule a game at USC against Bell High School. And I came back to my department, I was telling the guys, I'm not going to go to open house because I have a game that night, and one of the teachers, Eddie Potter, looked at me, you better not miss, man. And I got so scared to go to tell them that we were playing, and I remember it rained that day. Thank God bailed me out. That was the only time I was ever afraid of him. Like Coach Cosman said, his door was always open. Any struggles I had, anything that I was going through or I had questions about, he always had me work. He always taught me how to work them out without stress involved. He was such a calming and pleasant influence all the time. I never ever saw him close to losing his temper, although he'd be upset about things or mad about things. He never ever lost his temper or flew off the handle. A funny story I remember about him right before he retired for good. A bunch of staff members and teachers and him, we went to Stephen's Steakhouse. We all had dinner and celebrated. People already laughing. And it was a great time. It was fun, the support he had. And after dinner, we sang karaoke, and we were singing, and he saved the very last song for himself, and it was Frank Sinatra, I Did It My Way. And it was the most epic ending, because the last line, the last 2 words, he dropped to his knees with the microphone, and he was like, I did it my way. I thought that was awesome. He was such a cool dude. And not cool nice, he was cool, like Fonzie cool, just a cool cat. I love that about him. I looked up to him. My wife would tell me, Even recently, she told me, man, I love the way he walks. I go, man, he doesn't walk, he struts. Even here at church, coming here every Sunday, I'd see him walk down this aisle, and I just loved watching him walk. I'd smile. He was an amazing leader, and you've heard this before, and I have it in my notes. A school of 5,200 plus kids when I got there in 1999. It was the biggest school on campus. On one campus, New York had a school with more students, but it had to sell that campus. We were the biggest one. It was in the news. But in an area full of all that plight, and the drugs, and the poverty, and the single and no parents, it was such a safe haven. It was so safe to be there. And it was the pride of that school blew me away. It was real. He hired all these alumni, and I think that helped cultivate and culture that pride. I love that he hired alumni. His admin staff there, and again, now teaching 26, 27 years, was unbelievable. Just like him. And I have to mention Ms. Chewy and Ms. Eubanks, Mr. Hiwasawa, Dr. Klein, Bernie Terry. Talk about putting kids first. And I went to his office one day and I told him I wanted to take the baseball team to Hawaii. But it was an 8-day tournament. And as you can imagine, 20 plus kids and 6 or 7 adults would be very expensive. And he says, we're going to do it. And with the help of Ms. Careto and him, and we reached out to the community, which wasn't very successful. And our kids couldn't afford this 8-day trip in Hawaii. But he came up with a lot of money for us. And the day before we left, Ms. Chewy even came up to me and gave me a lot of money and said, here, make sure the kids eat, take these kids out to eat. So, you talk about putting kids first. I mean, that's a legacy that I always think about here. His decisions were always based on what the best interests of kids were. You know, he was very proud of sports, obviously, he was an athlete, but he was also very proud of support of all the different programs. He used to brag to me all the time about how hard these teachers were working, and not just the AP classes, but the mariachi. He was proud of the Latin jazz at ROTC. We had a good college and career center going, and he always talked about that. Got them to play even on my wedding. So I fell in love with Roosevelt. Like, I felt it was my alumni, even though it wasn't. And to this day I say it is my alumni. And then he became my father figure, and this is going to be hard. After he retired, we kept in touch. And anytime I needed to talk to him, or advice, career decision, anything in life, he was always there. And one time I told him, man, I really miss you. And he says, well, let's have breakfast. So we started going to breakfast over at Scotty's, over here in Whittier. And we talked so much. We'd meet around 8 o'clock, and all of a sudden it was 12 o'clock, and he'd laugh. He goes, what do you want for lunch now? And it was very intimate. We had intimate conversations, these conversations that I didn't even have with my own dad. So we had so much in common too. You know, we're both married before. We both had an older son. We both married younger wives. We started a family together. We loved oldies. We played basketball, went to ELAC. It just went on and on. So that's when I started calling Poppy. And whenever I text him, whenever I referred to him as Poppy, and talked whenever I saw him, he would talk to me a lot about how important family is and how blessed he is with his family. He always talked about how much he loved Margaret and the girls. I knew all about their sports and their soccer, their basketball, their cheerleading, everything. He would talk to me about driving to and from events, just like I am doing with my kids now. But the one thing I really took from him to this day is I learned not to take the smallest things for granted, like hugs from my wife, and being in that moment. We talked about that. My hand pat my wife when we're holding each other, and how meaningful that is. I learned the importance of being a good father, a good husband, brother, son, teacher, coach, mentor. Those were his words. He always complimented me every time we talked, all the time. He told me how blessed I am, how beautiful my family was. And I saw him as a father, and I told him all the time. And every time we leave each other, I would tell him, I love you. And he would say, I love you too. And a couple times I would say, no, I really, really love you. And he says, I know, I really love you too. Sundays were church days here, and he was always at the 11 o'clock service right there at that door, and I couldn't wait to see him. As a matter of fact, we would drive up, always kind of late during service, during worship. We did this year service. And the church would be singing, and it's real loud. And as I was walking through the parking lot, I always hold someone's hand, my wife, my kids, or both of them, or all of them. But as soon as we crossed the street on the sidewalk, I would drop my hand. I would drop their hands, and I would rush. I would way ahead of them to see them open the door, give them a big hug and kiss. And during worship, we would talk. And he would always ask about my kids. He knew everything that was going on with my daughter's basketball, my son's baseball. He knew it was, oh, you got a big game at Warren, you guys beat so-and-so. He knew everything that was going on. And he would tell me about his daughters and how worried he was one time that he was going to stay in Boston. And how they're doing good in school and work. You know, when kids are, little boys in particular, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, they have their dad around, they think they're Superman, they think they're invincible, and everything they say and do, they love. That's how it was with him. But as an adult, with 8 years of wisdom, he was Superman to me. And then after church, I loved walking into his car and talking. And we'd talk and talk. And he would always say, your wife and kids waiting? I said, yeah, I know. My wife's very special. And I owe him so much. God used him so much to change my life. And others, a lot of people I talked to said the same thing. I'm so thankful to God for putting him in my life, in my family's life. And I want to end by this. He wrote to me on Father's Day, June of 2017, not too long ago. He wrote, couldn't be prouder of the great man you are. As a father, husband, brother, son, teacher, coach, and mentor. And then he ended it by this, and this is the message I wanted to share. This is the message for us all here tonight from him. He wrote, every day is a blessing. And then he wrote, enjoy your family. Love, Poppy.
Why don't we just stand up for a second and stretch some bones? Kiss the person next to you.